Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we decode the language of big business, and today we are diving into TTM Technologies Inc.'s annual report. You know, the kind of report that's usually drier than a desert, but sometimes holds some pretty juicy secrets about a company's health and its future. Stick around, because we're about to find out what TTM Technologies is really up to. Alright, let's get straight into the good stuff. TTM Technologies Inc. is a big player in making technology products, especially printed circuit boards and advanced electronics for things like aerospace, defense, and data centers. For the fiscal year ending the 29th of December 2025, they pulled in a cool $2.9 billion in sales. That is a lot of circuits, folks. Now, before we dive into the financial tables, let's see how the company's stock has been doing. This graph here shows the long-term performance. If you'd invested $100 back in December of 2020, by December of 2025, your investment would have grown to a whopping $517.89. That blows the Nasdaq Composite and the Dow Jones US Electrical Components and Equipment Index out of the water. Looking at that, TTM Technologies seems to be a solid growth story. Let's talk numbers. The company's net sales really took off this year, hitting $2.9 billion. That's a nearly 19% jump from the previous year. They attribute this massive growth to strong demand in aerospace and defense, and critically, the data center and networking sectors, which are getting a big boost from generative artificial intelligence. It looks like TTM is riding the AI wave. Their gross profit also saw a significant increase, climbing by about 26% to $601 million. This means their gross margin rate improved to 20.7%. So not only are they selling more, but they're also keeping more of the money from each sale. This is thanks to higher sales volume, better operational efficiency, and a favorable mix of products. Although they did mention some increased costs from building a new plant in Malaysia. When we look at operating income, the picture gets even brighter. It jumped from $116 million in 2024 to a substantial $264 million in 2025. This is a huge leap, and it's largely because they didn't have to take those massive goodwill impairment charges we saw in previous years. They also benefited from fewer restructuring costs this year. Now, let's break down where this money is coming from. Their aerospace and defense segment, or A&D as they call it, saw sales increase by over 13%, reaching $1.3 billion. This growth is linked to increased defense spending and strong performance in their mission systems and specialty assembly businesses. The commercial segment is the real star of the show this year, with sales soaring by 24.3% to nearly $1.6 billion. This segment is driven by the booming demand in data center computing and networking. Again, thanks to that generative AI craze. Plus, the automotive and medical markets are showing signs of recovery. Moving to the balance sheet, we see their accounts receivable net at $563 million. This is a significant increase from $448 million last year, which makes sense given the surge in sales. It means more money is owed to them by customers, which is a good sign of business activity, but it also means they need to manage those collections carefully. The company also reports goodwill on its books, which is essentially the value of its brand and customer relationships that exceed the fair value of its net assets. This year, it stands at $670 million, unchanged from last year. They've reassessed their reporting segments and reallocated this goodwill, finding no impairment issues. This suggests the value of their acquisitions like Telephonics remains solid. Let's talk about debt. TTM Technologies has about $912 million in net long-term debt. While they are compliant with their loan covenants, this is a significant amount of money. Over 81% of their debt is at a fixed rate, which is good because it protects them from rising interest rates. However, a 1% change in variable rates would still impact their annual interest costs by about $1.7 million. Now, no company is without risk, and TTM Technologies is no exception. They operate globally with a significant presence in China and Asia. This exposes them to currency fluctuations, political instability, and trade policy changes. Like tariffs, they're also heavily reliant on a few major customers, with their top 5 accounting for 44% of their sales in 2025. Losing even one of those could hit them hard. And in today's digital world, cybersecurity is a massive concern. TTM Technologies has a dedicated team and policy in place to manage these risks, scanning for vulnerabilities and monitoring systems. They've had past incidents, but thankfully, none have materially impacted them yet. Still, the threat is ever present, especially with the rise of AI potentially creating new attack vectors. On to the auditor's report. KPMG LLP, their independent auditor, gave TTM Technologies a clean bill of health, opining that the financial statements are presented fairly and that their internal controls over financial reporting were effective. That is always good to see, especially when audited by a major firm like KPMG. Let's look at a few key figures from the financial tables. The company's net sales are indeed $2.9 billion for 2025, up significantly from $2.4 billion in 2024. Their total assets have grown to $3.8 billion, showing expansion, but their liabilities also increased to $2.6 billion. This means their debt and other obligations are growing alongside their business. The company reports an accumulated other comprehensive loss of $30.9 million. This is mainly due to foreign currency translation adjustments. It's a part of international business that can fluctuate and isn't directly tied to day-to-day operations, but it does reflect on their global financial health. They also authorized a new share repurchase program, allowing them to buy back up to $100 million in stock. This is often a sign that management believes the stock is undervalued and a way to return value to shareholders. So, what is the verdict on TTM Technologies? They are clearly winning in the market right now, especially with their strong positioning in the aerospace and defense sectors and their remarkable growth in commercial markets driven by AI demand. Their revenues and profits are up, and their stock performance has been outstanding. However, the increasing debt levels and customer concentration are definitely points to watch. They are navigating this complex global landscape pretty well, but like any company in a fast-paced tech industry, they need to stay nimble and manage those risks effectively. They are clearly investing in future growth with new facilities, which is a positive sign. Alright, that is our breakdown of TTM Technologies' latest filing. What is your take on these numbers and what they signal for the company's future? Drop your thoughts in the comments if this analysis was valuable. Hitting that like button really helps, and subscribe for more deep dives. Don't forget to check out the Discord in the description. Thanks for watching. See you next time.